The next topic on the agenda is with my dearest friend, Olabimpe Abayomi-Ige. In her capacity as a special needs education professional, she has prepared a talk for us on the awareness of special needs in education. So, Dr. Olabimpe Abayomi-Ige, over to you.
Okay, all my people, good morning, everyone. Good morning from my own end of work, and good afternoon to all of you.
Good evening from Nigeria.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm actually going to be very, very informal because of time factor. And like I sent a podcast that I did with one of my friends to Benga yesterday because of time. I was actually going to make some slides for you, but because of my job, I did not get a chance to do it. But thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you and to bring you more awareness about special education, what it is and what it is not. So there's a lot of misconceptions about it, and who is a child with special education needs. So what I'll do, I'm not sure if you were able to listen to the podcast that Benga shared yesterday. It's just a brief one that I did with my friend. Very, very informal, and it was unedited. So because of that, you probably heard me using the word actually a lot, which I never knew that I use that frequently in my talk. So I'm going to be very, very careful and avoid the use of the word actually or something in this particular one. So I will be taking questions, but I'll give you a quick, brief explanation of what special education is, or who a child or adult with special education is. For the most part, people misunderstand it and they get it very, very wrong. But I'll just give you a quick explanation. What makes an individual to need special education, and what makes an individual qualify for special education support. Then I base my experience and teaching and everything. We use what we call the IDEA in the United States of America. It is what is called Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which is a law that was revised in 2004. It was also revised in 2006. Under this law, there are 13 disability categories that are recognized under the IDEA. And I know in Nigeria, they have special education, but it's kind of different the way they understand it or the way they view it. And my dissertation for my doctoral degree was actually a comparative study comparing the special education laws of the United States and that of Nigeria. And also a part of it was also a policy analysis whereby I analyzed the special education policy in Nigeria and I compared it to the one of the United States, and whereby I offered suggestions of what both systems could take from the to make theirs better. Let me know when I'm boring you, because I know I could be I'm trying to be informal. So you can ask me any question as you can ask me questions to myself clearly as we're moving along.
You have 10 minutes, Dr. Ige.
How many? 10 minutes total or 10 minutes from now to the end?
Well, you have spent 2 minutes of it on the introduction. That's good, so you got 8 minutes. And then we can ask, if you have many questions, then we can extend this slide.
Oh, thank you. I'll be done in about 5 minutes. Okay. So that's the special education law that I use. And under the special education law that we have in the United States, there are 13 disability categories, which I will not itemize. I'll just tell the ones that you may be familiar with. So we have autism, we have emotional disturbance, we have specific learning disabilities. Under that, we have things like dysgraphia. That's people that do not do their handwriting very well. Under that, we have dyslexia, which is a language-based learning disabilities. Under that, we have what we call dyscalculia, people that struggle with mathematics or understanding math. Some of them may fall under that disability, whereby they might need intervention in the area of math. And we also have specific learning disabilities that affect written expression or reading comprehension. So these are all disabilities, these are academic ones. Under the law, again, we have speech and language impairment. We have deaf and deafness. We have visual impairment. We have orthopedic impairment. We have multiple disabilities. We have all kinds, they're all 13 that are recognized. So that means a child could fall under special education, if not under math, could qualify under reading, could qualify under handwriting. So kids that cannot hold their pens very well, if they are evaluated for special education here, they could qualify for what we call occupational therapy. So that means an occupational therapist will actually give the child tools that they could use and how to improve their handwriting to make it legible when others are reading it. So there are different disability categories and kids have to be evaluated to qualify. I will not explain the evaluation process that we follow. It's a very long process. Only when a child qualifies being tested, after being tested by usually a school psychologist, it's when they qualify under any of those disabilities that they now qualify for what we call special education. And one thing I want to know is that, like special education as we see it in Nigeria, people think is just physical disabilities. A child with physical disabilities necessarily have, not necessarily have, where is that noise coming from?
Tunde, please mute everybody, apart from Dr. Ige.
So a child with a physical disability may not necessarily have learning disabilities. So the fact that a child is physically disabled does not mean that child could not be the best child in school. So that is why it is important to make all our school accessible to all children, irrespective of their disabilities, so that they can have access to the general education curriculum that all children benefit from. So when we think about disability in Nigeria, oh, maybe this child cannot talk, this child cannot do that. But a child that has physical can actually do a whole lot. So that's why in the Western world, they try not to limit any child. And special education is actually there to help children achieve to their highest potential. Like someone like me, when I was in high school, for instance, I wish I got help. Looking at, knowing what I know for now, I know for sure that I probably, and I still have it, what is called maybe ADHD, and that falls under what we call other health impairment. That's OHI here under the IDEA. So that means maybe a child that is restless, maybe Bengatu should have been diagnosed way back, and so it's like some of us did not get the opportunity to be diagnosed. We kind of struggled through it. A lot of us got extra caning from teachers or failed classes carelessly because we're not diagnosed as having ADHD. We did not get any form of help or intervention. So we kind of struggled through it and we kind of outgrew it. So just to let you know, the fact that somebody has a disability does not mean they cannot achieve to their highest potential, So that's what, when a child qualifies under any of these categories under the IDEA, after being tested, they now get intervention in schools, support in schools that will make them successful in the school environment. Thereby, the ultimate goal is to be able to have every child achieve to their very, very highest potential in life without wasting too much time. You understand? Some of us, we kind of figured it out much later, but then after wasting many years, right? Like someone like me, I never learned a lot of math skills because I did not pay attention. And nobody really called or sat me down to give me extra support or to draw my attention to. Some of my people were even like the when I flunked math, you understand? But then I had issues. I wasn't paying attention and I wasn't able to learn from my teachers. And one thing before I end this, there's what is called, we have different learning styles. There are about 5 different types of learning styles. Most teachers actually teach to only 2 types of those learning styles, right? We have most teachers teach the visual learners and the auditory learners. So auditory meaning that when they hear it, they get it. Visual, most of us learn visually and auditorily, like by hearing and by seeing. But there will be some students in that classroom that they're going to learn by moving around. Tactile learners, they have to touch. You have to give them manipulatives and things like, okay, why is this? And they have to be able to ask questions. Some have to like get up sometimes when you're teaching. Some may not even have the long enough attention to sit through a 45-minute class period. You might have to like break in, maybe after like 5-10 minutes of instruction, you might have them to practice and do other things before you come in and instruct again. Like for instance, when I introduce any new topic to my students, because I'm paying attention to the needs of different students, I probably only will teach for like 6-7 minutes. That's that new skill, not longer than that. I will teach the skill, not longer than that. Then after that, they now practice the skill probably for the next 40 minutes. So some teachers just stand on and they teach and teach and teach, and they lose a lot of their students by doing so. So what special education do is actually help students achieve to their highest potentials. We have different interventions that we use, reading, math, name it. And we have different accommodations that we use. A student like me, probably my accommodation will be probably for the teacher to only teach me maybe 5 minutes and give me free time, maybe to do something else, then come back again and reteach. So those are the kind of accommodations that we throw in based on the unique needs of particular students. So we don't just say, okay, what works for Tunde might not work for Benga. What works for Wale may not be working for me. So a special education teacher, based on testing, data that we review all the time, will know that, oh, I cannot approach Tunde this way. He's not going to get it. You know, I'll have to meet Tunde maybe during lunch and reteach that skill. You understand? So we know that every child is different. So we're trying to meet them at the point of their individual needs. So that's what special education is. And I can elaborate more maybe when I have another audience. But if you have questions, I will take your questions now. Thank you.
Thank you, Bimpe, for that. That was very helpful and very insightful. My question is this. Are students that have been, or children that have been identified with having special needs in education, are they taught in mainstream school, or they have a different school that they're sent to?
Okay, that's a very good question. And just to let you know, I am an advocate for inclusion. I believe every children should learn in the same environment. That's what we do in inclusion. But then, barring the level of disability, some students, because maybe their level of, like some students might have constant seizures. You understand, like a student that may be coming to my school next year, constantly seizures, right? A student like that, part of her accommodation will be for her to go to school with a private nurse. So that nurse is traveling on the school bus with that child to the school every day. You understand? That's part of the accommodation of this child. We have what we call the IEP. It is what is called the Individualized Education Plan. So any child that qualifies gets an IEP. So the IEP actually puts in place accommodation, is a legal document, accommodations for each child, different accommodations, different SDIs. So some students the thing is to have all students learning. We don't want to separate people. We want the kids to be fully included, make friends, socialize. The goal is to actually include all students in the public school setting or general education setting. However, even when they come to the special to the school setting, some of them may not really be able to learn in the general education classroom because of if the disability is really, really severe. For instance, some children with autism, they are nonverbal, right? So we're using maybe Proloquo or different programs for them. They're talking using their computers. They only type it. In the special education classroom, they'll be taught how to use the iPad to communicate, but they are nonverbal. Some of them, they can't even sit still, depending on the disability. So some that have really severe disabilities, they will have to be in what we call self-contained classrooms, whereby you only have like maybe 8 students, 2 teachers, and maybe 6 other adults working with them, because that's their need in that setting. Okay. Those students in the public school, they only come out, they can be included for gym, they will join their age mates to play outside or to go to gym or to go to computer science, but they may not be able to be part of the mathematics curriculum or the English curriculum. We have other intervention programs that will teach them their own reading the best way they can learn at their own pace. Yeah.
Because there are other people with their hands up. I want to make sure that I wanted to allow you to go for a while just in case you cover everything and some of the things that they may want to ask.
I had my hand up.
Yes, your hand must be.
Thanks very much for the lecture, Bigbe. And it reminds me actually a quick example. When we were in high school at Osograms, I had this Indian teacher, Mr. Arora, and he was a physics teacher. So he would always be teaching from the book many people remember here called Abbott. And then we would be in the lab and he would just be talking and the equipment would be right in front of him. He would not demonstrate with the equipment. One day, I think he was teaching us balance or something like that. And I challenged him. I said, the thing is right there before you. You are teaching us through the book. Why don't you use the thing in front of you and show us how it works? He came to me and he knocked me on the head with a duster. So, he beat me so thoroughly for asking him to show us what he was teaching. So, and I want to say that what we don't consider from your lecture, what we don't consider disability in Nigeria is disability in a lot of other places. And but the question I have for you, and it's coincidental because the North American Osogbo Grammar School meeting on this last Tuesday was on the same subject. And I think I want you to address the cultural. Since you said your doctoral focus was in comparative study between the US and Nigeria, the cultural aspect of this. In Nigeria, generally, stigma and label is a problem. I've seen a lot of parents who would say, if the government comes and say your child has this disability, they will say, lie, Olabimpe, I reject it in Jesus' name. How do we get Nigerians to accept what is true and not just always think that it's a stigma when a kind of disability is identified with their children?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Just to let you know the truth, some parents here, especially the African-American parents, they still see it as a stigma, because when we do special education testing, at the end of that evaluation, the child is labeled, right? Mm-hmm. Some parents use it to their advantage. Some people don't want the label, right? So like in Nigeria, even here, the most important thing is awareness. Just knowing when you hear special education or disabilities, people think it's a major, like you can't walk, you can't sit down, you are really, really, but disability just means the inability to do something that other peers are doing effortlessly. You understand? So for instance, I cannot tie gele. That's a major disability. And I know I'm never going to learn it. So my brain is stuck in the fact that I'm not going to learn that skill. You understand? So that is just what disability is about, that it becomes a disability when it imparts in a way that you cannot achieve what your regular peers are achieving. So all of us in here, we have all kinds of disabilities that, I can't even figure out how Kunle does what he does or how Tunde does that. I'm not even going to be bothered because it's like, I just know my brain is blocked. I can't get it, but as long as it's not affecting your daily lives or academic life, it may not be tagged as disability. But when it starts to impact you negatively to the point whereby kids go to school, they're flunking all the time, not because they are not smart. You understand? Like, not because they are not smart. And just to let you know, even the same testing that we give children that might end up having disabilities, is the same test that we give to mentally gifted students, interestingly. You understand? So it's, a child with mentally gifted is going to score like more than 2 standard deviations above the mean on the IQ test. Will be scoring like 140. You understand? A child with a learning disability might be scoring like 98. We're still at the average range, or might be impacted negatively. So it's actually mainly the awareness, like maybe sharing information, like maybe talking to maybe parents, maybe in church groups, sharing maybe lectures, not even lectures, just awareness to let them pay attention to certain things. It's just awareness here. It's about awareness and for parents to have rights, knowing their rights and what they could do, where they could get help, as against looking at it as a stigma. You know, same thing happens here. And some parents say, oh, I don't want my child in special ed. And some parents have taken me to court because I refuse to test their children. They want those children in my class, you know. And because of that, because I said, oh, this child doesn't really need it. I've checked the data. I've done it. We don't have to do this test. And the next thing I'll get is a letter from the lawyers. You understand? You know, so it's more like some parents that know their rights and are very aware and know where getting special education and helping their children will take their children 10, 20 years from now. Those parents will fight and make sure they help their children. But parents that do not know, some of them are just using the cane to cane their kids nonstop. Even here, or even Nigeria, or like, even they'll get Omodo to take care of the kid or keep the kid at home and not send the kid to school. But then, unfortunately, in Nigeria, the government doesn't care. You understand? People do not care. People have to survive. Here in the United States, every state gets extra 12.8 billion for special education in the United States, just aside from the state funding. But in Nigeria, we don't have all that. But if we could do little awareness, even there are things parents could do to help their children, even at home, if they have awareness, that will even help them. But the major thing is actually awareness and sharing information. And it's not a stigma. It's like, I can't do it, you know, but I need help.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can I ask my question now?
Oh, yes.
Benga, please go ahead.
Okay, well, it's not really a question because some of the main question I want to ask, funny enough, today I asked it. I was going to just ask, you know, to maybe tell us a little bit more about some of the findings from our research, but I think she's covered it in a way, and also connecting it to the cultural issue, you know, which actually for me will be how the Nigeria example, you know, addresses and, you know, the issue of stigma with respect to disability. But I think she's covered that, so I'm not going to ask any of that. It is interesting that she actually mentioned me and said something about me being restless and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
too. And you know Curtis, you remember Curtis too, right?
Yeah, Curtis, yeah.
Yeah, that was classic ADHD, right?
So if you guys, classic, absolutely, yeah. If you guys check the chart when you were talking about learning style, it's funny because one of the modules I taught in this semester actually has a lot of some of the things you're talking about. I'm not in special education, but I am a part of the new School of Interdisciplinary Studies in my university. Mm-hmm. So we have people from psychology, criminology, and social others, you know, occupational therapists, nurses, and all that. And so I could share, because there are different learning styles, but I think the one that you're talking about, which is VAC, with the acronym VAC, I've already posted in the chat box. The thing is that it will be helpful even for us at this stage in our lives to be able to understand some of the things that Bigbe was talking about, not only for ourselves, but we might have family members who might need, you know, some kind of education, because that is where actually Nigeria is lagging behind. You might not even realize, for instance, that we have people who actually study special education in Nigeria. I didn't know that until about a month ago when one of my wife's nieces was asking us to help her secure admission. And I found out that she actually studied speech therapy at UI. And I didn't know, but she did it under special education. But the unfortunate thing is that there's a disconnect between policy in Nigeria, policy making, and actually the way some of these, some of these courses are taught in universities, and how we also train professionals. So there's a lot of, disconnect in that. So yeah, so to end my speak, I'm going to be able to share with you my slide. If anybody wants to, maybe to support Bimpe as well, I will probably send it to Bimpe first if she thinks.
And do we have time for that?
No, not today.
Okay.
I can share it on the platform. Not now. I'm talking about that. Maybe share it to people, who might want to understand a little more about learning style, because that would help many of us to also improve our professional skills. All right.
And just to add to that, before you go, Benga, when it's like one of the disability categories is speech and language impairment, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Speech and language impairment. I'm not a specialist for that. So the person that will do the screening will be a speech pathologist.
Yeah.
Here we call them certified. You understand? Not only that you're just a speech pathologist, you're actually licensed to practice. So they will be the ones to do, like one of my students just got screening last week because parents wanted him to be screened. So things like when you see people, how do we call it in Yoruba? Shikalolo, slaughtering.
Slaughtering, yeah.
Stammering.
No, stop slaughtering, yeah.
And you see people like in America, hardly are you going to find a child that cannot pronounce the letter R as an R. Like people that say, oh, we go, things like that. Because they knock it off in elementary school. You understand? It's considered a speech problem. And once the kids start like in age 5, age 6, even sometimes without the parents knowing, with just little permission from parents, it's about the quickest thing they correct. And that falls under special education. That's not academic. It has to
it's not.
Both of my children actually got speech when they were young, and both of them got occupational therapy, as in handwriting. They needed to teach them to write better in a way that people can read. All that will fall under special education here. It's like, so when you look, so that's another thing. It's just the awareness and the resources are available to help children.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Bimpe.
Lastly, please.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Bimpe.
You're very welcome.
And I want to appreciate you for not letting me opt out as I wanted to, although I'm in a mobile, but I listen towards your lecture. I'm interested in dyslexia.
Oh, okay. Because actually, I'm glad you're talking about. Actually, I'm a board member of the International Dyslexia Association.
Great.
Yes, I'm actually a board member, and we actually have a conference coming up on the 9th of April. So I don't know if you'd like to join. I just signed up for it yesterday. It's going to be virtually and in person. So I'm actually and last week I was actually at this Dyslexia Simulation, you understand, whereby it was a live presentation whereby participants, parents especially, they actually had to live the life of a child with dyslexia. You understand? And we can talk more, Wale. And what I'll just give all of you a quick example.
Please share me your email, please.
Yes, I will. And I will give you one quick example before I leave right now, how a child with dyslexia will feel in a general education setting and why they struggle so much. I'll give you a quick example. All of you here, just for 1 second, you can take a piece of paper and a pen. I'll do that for 1 quick second. Get a piece of paper and a pen, right? So while just listen, I know you're driving, just listen. For those of you that have access to a paper and a pencil, I'm just going to do a quick simulation of just so you can imagine, even though the kid is smart and everything, what happens when that child is in a classroom with other students. So with a piece of paper and a pencil that you have, you're now going to move your pen away from your dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, that pen should go to your left hand, right? Right, all of you?
Yeah.
So now, so now that you have it in your, so you're not using your dominant hand, you're using your other hand, either left or right. So I'm going to just read I'm actually going to read from what Benga wrote here. And you're now going to use your hand to write it for me quickly. So now listen, Benga wrote, "Congratulations on being a board member of the International Dyslexia Association." Just try to copy what Benga wrote with your other hand. and I'm going to time you. You have 30 seconds to do it.
No, I can't do it.
Don't say, don't give up too quickly, Gbenga. Don't start until I say start. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to time all of you. Timer, and I'm going to do it at 30 seconds, right? I don't even know. Just give it like 30 seconds. 30.
Actually, I can do it,
Just try. Okay, you have 30 seconds and see if you can write congratulations on being a board member of the International Dyslexia Association. Sometimes it could be longer than this, but I'm just doing it for 30 seconds. And let me know how nicely you have written.
Yeah, there are two challenges. It's low and the quality is low.
Very good. So that's just a simple example of how some students feel in the classroom.
There is no quality today.
This is rubbish.
The quality is just not there. Who is going to read what I've written at the airport where you go party?
So that's just to imagine a student in a class of 30 students, and the teacher is teaching. So number one, the brain is not even, the student might be seeing all the letters up. They're not even looking and seeing the letters like this. Some of those letters, they are seeing the B upside down or backwards. You understand? So it's like a child with dyslexia, for instance, when you write letter P, right? That child with dyslexia may be reading that letter P upside down and it's showing like a D, flip the other way. So what they are saying is not what everybody else is saying. So now imagine that child in his regular class with other students. Will that child be successful? Yes or no? The answer is no. So those are the kind of things, and that is actually a child that doesn't have any physical disability. Most people with dyslexia, they actually score on the IQ scale above average intelligence. They're quite brilliant. You understand? But then a child with dyslexia, again, is a child that will see a plan of a house that an architect has drawn. And that child is not just seeing the plan, that child knows exactly how the house will look when it is finished. That's their gift. They can do that. We cannot do that. Even the engineer or the architect just drew it. They will see that picture of the house to the way the house will look when finished. So you can see the processing right there. So it's just to give you a quick example why some students struggle. And I'll take questions. And if you want me to...
Quickly, just to corroborate, Wale, for your information, because I'm in IT, and my company, we actually have tools for people with disabilities, especially dyslexia. Just yesterday.
Great.
Yeah, I contributed to, they have a group. They have like we call it Yama, like it's like Facebook, where they share ideas and information. We do have certain tools for them, technology tools, software that can help them. For instance,
assistive technology
problems with writing and correction and all that. We use a software called Grammarly, which quickly helps them correct as they write. So there are technological solutions to some of these problems these days.
You share with me.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much.
Actually, if you don't mind, I could maybe later on, this is just something that just came to my mind. Myself and Bimpe can work on, maybe Tunde too, can work on a kind of assistive technology presentation. So we'll be able to fuse together Tunde, because now I'm an interdisciplinary scholar, so I'm thinking like that actually. So Tunde will help us. I know a lot about assistive technology, but I'm not technologically, smart or nimble like Tunde. So Tunde can give us some smarts, provide us some technological information, and then I can come in from the knowledge aspect. I mean, we can come in from the practical aspect, and we can do something just to help. And that could also feed into the current move in Nigeria to professionalize social work, professionalize special education, and professionalize, model, Nigerian educational system on some of the experiences, that obtains in UK and US.
That's very helpful.
Yeah.
Tunde and Bimpe, would you like to take Benga up on that offer?
Yeah, that sounds like academic work for me. And
It's not academic. Oh, I'm not. Don't be. No, today, don't be.
Okay,
Don't be guitar. It's not going to be academic. But I knew you were going to say that.
Okay.
I knew you were going to say that.
Okay, Benga.
Ask me for whatever you did. I'm happy to tell you what I know.
It's not going to be a cop out for you. I'm not even allowing.
Yeah. Dr. Chadari, order, please. Thank you. Now, you can have that conversation and see how you can help.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, Tunde, like they say, don't give up too easy. So,
and don't give up, because, and you have to, one thing you remember about assistive technology is that it's unique to every disability.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So it's like the ones for dyslexia. If you check on, I just posted our website, that's Pennsylvania. It's actually PBIDA. I'm so sorry. If you Google PBIDA.
Can you put the link?
Oh, PBIDA.
If you just Google PBIDA, that's Pennsylvania Branch of International Dyslexia.
Madam Bimpe.
Yes.
Since you're on your laptop, can you go to the link and copy it and put it?
Okay, don't worry. I'll copy it for you and I'll post it. And there's so many organizations you can actually try. I'm going to type in one here. Understood. These are all understood.org. These are places where you could read a lot about.
And copy them and paste them into this.
I will try
before we finish.
Good. And if anybody if you have any question for me, or if you want me to present at your church, your school, or whatever you're doing, just let me know. I'll make it. This actually, I'm talking off script today. Very, very informal. Whatever I'm saying to you right now is just from my experience and knowledge. Nothing formal, but I could actually do proper presentation where I'll share a lot of resources with parents. And the key thing is awareness. When they know, then they can help their children. Then their children are not behind and they become successful adults. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you
so much.